News this morning, Brazilian officials say security flaws allowed rioters to storm the Congress, Supreme Court, and the presidential palace in Brasilia. These videos being compared to the January 6th U.S. Capitol attacks. Security officials have taken back control of the facilities. They've arrested hundreds of those protesters who supported the country's far-right ex-president, Jair Bolsonaro. Brazil's newly sworn-in president, Lula da Silva, and other officials toured the damage late yesterday, condemning the rioters.
Good afternoon, everybody. I'm here to talk with Professor Danny Shaw. We're going to talk about the pro-Bolsonaro protesters who stormed Brazil presidential palace, and they were trying to take over the government or something, but they waited because they had like over 100,000 people at the inauguration that was in solidarity. So I guess that wasn't the right time for them to do it. So they waited until later to do it. So this is what we're going to talk about right now. And I have Professor Danny Shaw with me. Good afternoon, Danny Shaw.
Peace, Jabadi, and thanks for the consistent anti-imperialist work that you've been doing. I'll jump right into what we saw unfold yesterday. A week after the massive inauguration, the heralded inauguration of Lula, a return to progressivism in Brazil. We see these throngs of Bolsonaro supporters heavily endorsed, promoted and organized alongside segments of the evangelical church. They brought some 100 plus buses from the south of Brazil, the more historically European descendant areas of Brazil, and throngs of these fascists, of these Bolsonaristas, converged yesterday on the presidential palace, Planalto, on Brazilian Congress, and on the Brazilian Supreme Court. The vandals, the thugs, waited for this Sunday precisely because Brasilia is like a ghost town on Sunday, unless there's some major political act. And they were unimpeded. We've seen the images of the police and the military stepping out of their way, allowing them to penetrate these three symbols of Brazilian government. And what the coup mongers, I don't think we should call them demonstrators or protesters. All of us know what it means to protest police brutality and white supremacy, U.S. war machine. And we've never defecated on government buildings. We've never taken selfies with the police. So this crowd did all types of abysmal, humiliating things. They were in celebratory mode, and their parallel evangelical universe is really a fake news type of reality that they come from. They somehow thought that their encampments across Brazil and across Brasilia, the capital, they thought that they were going to inspire segments of the state, of the military and the police to join their uprising. They were sorely disappointed. At this point, different Bolsonaro officials are trying to flee the country as quick as possible. Bolsonaro himself, the ringleader of this circus, who was seen talking to many of these rallies. I can't confirm right now whether he actually spoke via phone to these organizers yesterday, but there are images emerging of him speaking to other, of course, fascist rallies, many of which he led, he spearheaded. But now Bolsonaro, from a hospital in Orlando, he now, very strange timing, is complaining of stomach issues. One could say that comes from a certain anxiety. He's trying to distance himself, even denounce this himself. Trump has been silent on Truth Social. The only one to get behind this, very predictably, is Steve Bannon and Breitbart, who are celebrating this, and Steve Bannon is saying that these were freedom fighters. So your audience should know that the Jason Millers and the Steve Bannons, and other fascist leaders here in the U.S. have been in Brazil, have had meetings with Eduardo Bolsonaro, the son of Jair Bolsonaro. I want to address as well what are going to be the long-term repercussions of what we witnessed unfold yesterday. Anybody attached to Bolsonaro, their credibility right now is even lower than it was 48 hours ago. Many officials, like I said, are fleeing to where else? Florida, where Black American dictators often flee in the most reactionary forces. So that's very telling. Lula immediately went back to Brasilia to centralize the democratic authorities and to take action, because full hypocrisy and full white supremacy was on display. Imagine if this was a left-wing crowd. Imagine if these were some of the 115 million Afro-Brazilians, but because it was a petty bourgeois crowd, a more privileged crowd, a white crowd, because it was that social milieu, the police get out of the way. The police took selfies. There were a few clashes yesterday, but very few. The crowd was arguing with themselves because some people were cheering the police. Of course, they want that's their number one demand. They want to return to the 1964 to 1985 Brazilian police state. That usurped power from Getúlio Vargas in 1964 when Brazil finally had democracy. They want to return to that dictatorship.
So many died.
What we see right now in Brazil is a massive outpouring of popular forces. The universities in Sao Paulo and in other parts of the country today had all types of vigils and conferences. I think this is going to have the reverse effect that the Bolsonaro crowd